snacks.
What it do, Loading Snacks Universe. It's your boy Jokes here. I got the homie Marcus in tow with me, and it is time for episode 2 of the finisher.
Because we're back for another one.
Another one. Hope we don't
Another
skip
one.
that. But, you know, this show is just pretty much us having conversation about wrestling. Doesn't really matter what it is. Past, present, current events, whatever it may be. I had the topic last week where we just kind of talked about our history in wrestling and how we came up and everything. So this week, Marcus has a topic he's going to throw on the table, and we're kind of going to run with it. We want to get your feedback as well too. So, Marcus, what is it that you got on the table today that you want to have a conversation about?
Today, how do you feel about controversy?
Controversy. Ooh, there could be a lot of that at times. But
Because I think, in the words of Eric Bischoff, controversy creates cash, and we are in a cash market of controversy.
okay, I dig it. Elaborate, good sir.
With recent events, since we talk about wrestling, because this is the finisher, I do believe that in several promotions there is quite a bit of controversy. Let us start with one that everyone knows about. We have Sasha and Naomi walking out. Now, it has been rumored to have been a work. We don't know if it's a work. We don't know if it's a setup, if it's all part of the gimmick, or if it's just like, nah, we're done. We don't like where this is going. I believe it's a work.
Ooh, okay. Why do you think it's a work?
I think it's a work because they are planning something bigger for for this women's tag team division, and I want this run of the tag team championships because Sasha has always put over all of the single talent that is currently the top talent and have championships. She's always she's been in how many WrestleManias now?
Quite a few. 4?
And only have one win. And it's not even for singles gold, it's for tag team gold. So I feel that this is a work to push her to not only her but Naomi, because Naomi hasn't. I think she's only won the Divas Championship once.
Probably. She won the SmackDown Women's Championship, I believe, once as well too.
Yeah,
at least once, maybe twice.
And I think the second time that she won, it was short because I think she got injured or something. Or was that the first time? I remember
first one lasted for a while. The second one is the one that I think that actually had his relatively short stint for it.
Yeah. So I feel like they really want to make their championship run have a better longevity, and for them to lay down for the number one contenders for the singles belts, it wouldn't make sense because that's what single competition what the singles wrestlers are for, to put over, not tag team champions. When you're a champion, you are a champion. That means you are at a caliber of performance. And I'm not saying any of the other women aren't championship quality. I'm saying they're not champions. So when you think of a champion, you think of all right, they're the elite, no pun intended, of all right, this is who we have to beat, this is the standard that we have to go off of. And as currently before them, there's been quite a few tag teams, but they always, as far as storytelling, fall underneath the rug. I feel like this is a work to show that the women's tag team division is a division.
I can see that. I've been on the back and forward on the fence about this one. There's pieces of me that think that certain aspects definitely were real and happened. So I can see them, because of not being in the position that they want to be in, and finding out that they pretty much were going to be losing out on their opportunities at becoming champion and losing the belts. The part that rubbed me wrong was how on Raw. Was that? Yeah, it was on Raw. How Michael Cole just pretty much like just put them on blast while he was on commentary. There was a piece of me that just didn't rub that right. And same thing when McAfee was sitting next to him, and you could kind of see his facial expressions as Michael Cole was talking and saying like, yeah, they let the fans down, they did this and all that. There was just something about that whole entire thing that rubbed me the wrong way. You know, I will never fault anybody for standing up for what you believe in, especially when you know your own worth. And that's why there's a part of me that believes they actually did give those belts and walk out. Because some of the small things that you normally see after or right before a superstar is either getting released or something is getting ready to happen. Naomi, for one, she's removed all references from her social media bios about being, you know, a WWE superstar and all of that type of stuff. That's like the first thing that everybody does when either they're getting released, leaving the company, or something like that. Sasha hasn't seemed bothered. You know, she's been spotted out, you know, partying it up, doing different things,
carrying watermelons,
doing stuff. So I do feel like that they probably turned those belts in and just kind of like say, you know, have at it. Because when they found out that after having, I mean, they had a decent run as tag champions, but let's be real, I feel like WWE hasn't done the women's tag team championship any justice at all. Like, it's like, here, you guys are champion, just hold them and do your thing. I feel like they just haven't done it. They've done it right. And so when they found out that the two of them were going to be involved, and we're just going to say from what we've heard and what we've seen in the dirt sheets or whatnot ever, the match that they walked out on, they were supposed to be the final two in the match, and they were going to, and I believe it was Naomi was going to get pinned by Sasha. It doesn't matter which way, but apparently neither one of them liked where it was going. It's like, why do we have to be, like, we're having this awesome run as tag team champions, why do we have to do it like that? So I feel like there's parts of it that WWE is trying to turn into an actual work, maybe in trying to save face and to try to see if they can keep these two from leaving. Because I believe both their contracts are close to being up. So if they end up just letting their contracts run the rest of the course, could be. But if they're able to pull them back, like, Naomi should be in the bloodline. I'm like, we do the husband and wife that we this is a thing now. Like, put her in the bloodline. They can have a female there too. That's one of the few championships that they won't right now. They don't have access to because it's all guys. They don't need to worry about the U.S. Championship. They don't need to worry about the Intercontinental Championship. But they could do well with having the Women's Championship on the squad with the bloodline. So I think there's parts of this that were definitely serious, but I think WWE is trying to play it into being a work in order to capitalize and probably bring it back to it.
The reason why I believe it's a work is because, like you mentioned, Michael Cole. Not many people realize that Michael Cole on the mic, like when he's doing his commentary, like he doesn't say anything that already most of the time hasn't already been approved by the people in the back. And going into the live showing, like, it's already been like, okay, these are the points, blah blah blah. With Pat McAfee, like, this is how, like, there's like a dialogue between commentators of like, okay, how are we going to proceed during the show? And like, Pat McAfee does his energetic stuff. Michael Cole is a little bit more serious. He's a seasoned veteran, been through with a lot of the greats.
By the book. He's by the book. Like, that's literally
So that's the only reason why I believe it's a work, is because, like, if it was not a work, like how, like, when CM Punk like left or Jeff Hardy left during their matches, he didn't say, like, he didn't go into detail. Like, they're leaving. And then, like, he goes back to commentating the match, but to, like, start off, like, yeah, like, they let the fans, like, that's why I believe it's a work.
Yeah, like, in comparing it to the CM Punk thing, like, the CM Punk thing to a degree was actually real, because His contract was literally getting ready to expire, and they fed off of it. Now, granted, they probably had a conversation like, "Hey, yo, Punk, like let's just ride this out. Act like you really are leaving, and then we'll renew your contract or whatnot ever." They did sell that all the way through that, and then the night afterwards, from when he won from Cena and lift off, they pretty much just wrote off, just like, you know what, we're gonna have a tournament for the WWE Championship now.
The instance I'm referring to is his last run of WWE where he didn't have the title.
Okay, I gotcha.
You remember, like, his contract was set to be renewed, and then like that became real because he didn't like how they were.
Certain thing was going down back. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Second run. Gotcha.
Yeah, second run.
Yeah, because they pretty much were having him where he was like, "Yo, I'm wrestling hurt." Like literally, I was coming in like literally on the verge of like just puking at times, just because he was just overworked. Body was just breaking down on him, and he just had to pull the trigger on it. So I can definitely see that one in comparison to
it. And to another point you brought up about the bloodline, I believe like with Naomi like taking down that stuff is a rebranding for the bloodline. Like somehow like fit that bloodline angle in to that social media, so that way, all right, she's earning like that to be at have a seat at the table with her husband, all right. And then since she's with Sasha, who's cousins with Snoop, they have also went on live and say it's all part of your bloodline. There's been a lot of bloodline talk, so that could be a reason. Like, there's a lot of speculation, but that's why I believe it's a work. That it's all going to tie into like, all right, how can we capitalize on the women's tag team division? How can we like make it a good division, give it actual screen time, give it actual purpose, instead of being like a spot holder for a WrestleMania show or some random pay-per-view show. I mean, I'm sorry, because there's no
premium live events. Get it right.
That's what I believe. It's a work. It's all a rebranding, a new imaging. It's like how Ohio Valley became NXT and then NXT 2.0. Like, it's all a rebranding. That I'm seeing within the division and the characters. Like, okay, maybe they give them a little bit more creative control on their characters. So now, like, okay, like, well, like, what's it? Not Jimmy. Is it Jimmy? The Usos are on SmackDown. Well, they're on both shows, but primarily on SmackDown. Now she can be on Naomi can be on SmackDown. They can cross paths and be like, we the ones. Like, it can be that unification.
Okay. How soon? Like, where do you think, if it's a work and that's how they're doing this rebranding, where do we see this change, or where do we see this actually like unveil itself?
Like that is a number one question, because I know Arcade Bro was temporarily broken up because Randy's injured. It's all about finding it at the right moment on the card, and right now, like, I don't see like immediately a good time, but I would say probably in maybe the next couple weeks, probably around 3 weeks, maybe one more week of like silence, and then maybe they'll start like hinting.
So right after Hell in the Cell, because like literally we got Hell in the Cell next week. So they win the champion, or like say they defend their championships or whatever, we can see it building up to that. That could be a good play for it. I feel like kind of like how Roman keeps saying, you know, we want to do stuff that like hasn't been done, or we want to do so, like, you know, them each having each other show's belts for it. You know, them probably saying, you know what, I want more, and this is how they say, you know what, let's get a woman in here, because it's like we can't take these belts. And Usos look at each other and like, you know, we got the perfect family, perfect bloodline person that we can bring in for this, and then bring it up. So I could see that.
And as much as I love like Tamina, like don't get me wrong, I would love for Naomi and Tamina to be the ones with the women's tag team championships in the bloodline. Just so that it is a unanimous, or it's all in the family type of thing. But I don't I don't know. It's like I'm really like I really do believe that it is rebranding for Sasha and Naomi because they deserve a better division.
Well, what does that do for Sasha? Like, obviously, the bloodline Naomi works. Like, what do they do? What does that do for her? Like
maybe that brings up like her actual boss character. Like, it brings out the boss instead of just Sasha Banks. So we haven't seen the boss in I think like 2-3 years. It's been all like ha 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 ha. We haven't really seen like NXT the boss. Maybe when she joins the bloodline, it allows her to go back into the boss mode. Like actually be.
I don't see her joining the bloodline though. Like I don't even though like.
Well, she wouldn't be a part of the bloodline.
She'd be like Sammy. You think she'd be like a Sami Zayn,
but a better Sammy, a better Sammy.
So she'll be the advocate. She'll be a better advocate than what Sami Zayn is doing. Don't get me wrong. I like what Sami Zayn is doing. Like I give Sami Zayn props because my man takes what he needs to do and he runs with it.
Or what they'll do is they'll say that Sasha was injured, have her out for the reason why they vacated the titles. Sasha got injured on some accident or whatever, and then that will give them the time. They'll have another tournament or whatever, or Naomi can choose a tag team partner to defend the belts. Tamina can come through, take Sasha's place, and then that will get that bloodline thing going. Sasha and Tamina will probably have a one-on-one type of thing going. Tamina would win, stays the champion with Naomi. Sasha could go out do her singles competition, whether it be on NXT, SmackDown, Raw. She can actually go back in the singles competition if that is the route they want to take as far as like the bloodline. That's how like I would want, like not how I would want it to happen, but that is a way it can happen.
So Tamina, like I have respect for Tamina, but the way that she's been used over the years, like
it's been terrible. It's been really bad.
First things first, she needs to be she has to be pulled away from that 24/7 thing. Like the 24/7 thing initially when it started, you know what? I liked it.
It was funny.
It was funny, and I think that was because of R-Truth, and that's
it wasn't something that you took seriously. You know what you were getting into when you were watching it, and it was funny because R-Truth like knew how to make it enjoyable. Now it's all like I don't get that same. It's just all.
Yeah, I don't like it. So first thing, Tamina has to be pulled away from that because that is not feeding into the bloodline. Or if you know what, if they try to bring that in, you know what, maybe they try to recruit Tamina, but they straight up say, you know what, all that BS, all that bullshit that you dealing with over there, that's gotta go. It's like if we need to go down there and take care of them, we'll do it, but that's gotta go.
A thought just came to my mind. What if Nia Jax somehow comes back with Naomi? Oh my goodness. I don't want that to happen.
Nia is just now about to return to a wrestling ring. She's in the there's a new UK promotion or something that's having like their very first show that's having a lot of ex-WWE stars on there, and she's on that. I'm gonna say for right now she's not coming back. I think that ship set sail.
Oh, jokes.
What you missing?
The Rock's daughter is in
NXT. Oh no, she's in NXT. They just changed her name too. Like I get it. Like I'm not upset when they change the name of like a second generation or a third generation star, just so they're not necessarily feeding off of what the parents' momentum had. Don't get me wrong. I feel like at some point you should be able to take the name and work with it. But I think you do need to
that's
have.
what they did with Charlotte. Like they all knew it was Flair, but they just called her Charlotte.
Charlotte
for, like, the longest time.
So I'm not mad at the name. Like I know we're up in arms about name changes and things when they happen. Like I get both sides of the fence. I know why you want to change the name, why you want to be able to use it. I get it, but I think in her case, the changing the name does it well. But so at least for right now, I think because of that, there's no thoughts of probably putting her in the bloodline. If the bloodline stays around for a good while, which I can see happening, if the bloodline stays around for a few more years, I can definitely see them. If she gets in NXT while she's there and she proves that she has what it takes, I definitely see them taking her and putting her in the bloodline. I can see it. But it's just a matter of how much further we can go with the bloodline, especially if the end game is Roman Reigns versus The Rock. Like, if that happens, well, you know what? Take it back. Rock comes in, Roman and him have their face-off, and then The Rock does become the head of the table. Now they have more than a reason to say, oh, she's the daughter of The Rock. That's a perfect catalyst to move into that. But the whole situation, like I do think there's elements of it that they're trying to build and work into being a work. But I think that they defended how they felt about everything, and they did walk out. And so now they're trying to work with them, get their contracts renegotiated, see what they can do. I do think there's elements on both sides of the fence to this, but the Michael Cole thing, like how you said, he's by the books, he does everything, and a part of me is like, this is WWE trying to save face with folks, and having Michael Cole do this to say, they let the fans down, they let the whole world down, they've been stripped of the belts. Like, this just sounds like the book that they're trying to do for it. So
the propaganda that they haven't played, the fallback plan in case should anything happen, is just like, they let the fans down, they let me down, etc., etc. But that's a very interesting topic to rabbit hole to jump down. Is what is and is not a work in this day and age, because now internet, social media, like anything can be taken out of context.
I love when we can't figure something out. Like that's the best thing. But the internet, like, don't get me wrong, like dirt sheets have been around forever. Like, we didn't have the fancy internet that we did way back when, but you know what? There's people talking. You could, like, you did that, but it wasn't easily accessible. So you didn't have, like, hop on the internet and say, like, oh, such and such has been spotted at the airport. They're probably going to be at a WWE event or whoever's event it is. So I miss the times of when we could actually sit here and just always be like, I don't know, dude. But this one right now, it kind of, I feel like, is on both sides of the fence for it.
Yep. I feel as though that this has been a very good discussion on this topic. This may be a mini series potential, because we still have the New Japan controversy going on still. Just recently, Marty Scurll has been actually posting on social media again, participating in live events after all of the information came out about his situation. So there's a lot of controversy. Like, is it okay to wear his merch? Is it not okay? Like, who knows? Like, it's a wonderful time to be a wrestling fan and to speculate, formulate, and conjugate.
I like what you did there. I like that.
In wrestling.
I dig it. Controversy. So just like Marcus said, this is a topic we'll probably revisit a good couple of times on the show, but the Naomi Sasha Banks thing right now is just the freshest thing that's going on right now. And I think we'll see over the next few weeks. I think we'll start to see how this will actually play out. Because if it's not a work, and these guys have done this, I feel like they probably just told them go home and we're running, and your contracts are just going to run out and you're gone. But they're not just going to just cut the rest of their contracts and be done with it. So,
I don't know about, like, I don't see them allowing Naomi and Sasha to leave. I mean, of course, it's their option to, like, not re-sign if that's the case. But, like, why would Sasha Banks' contract not have been renewed prior to the so-called incident of them walking out?
Mm-hmm.
And why wouldn't Naomi, who's married to Jay? Is it Jay? Or is it Jimmy?
Yeah. No, yeah, Jimmy.
Jimmy.
I don't know why I always get that. Why this is?
Yeah, it's like it always confused. Like, married to Jimmy. Like, why would her contract not be renewed when, like, they just won the championship this
Doesn't
year?
make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. Look at Rusev and Lana. Like, Lana was in WWE longer. Like, once Rusev got let go, and it didn't make a difference who they were together. Like, I don't want to say they don't care about that, but in the day of business,
no, but like in business, like, why? I don't, unless it is like, okay, your contract is going to expire in 5 months. All right, we'll have you win at WrestleMania, and then you can go and do whatever. I don't see that would be something that's like, no, I want to stay with my husband. I'm going to go ahead and resign for another X amount of however long the contract is. So that's why I don't see it as like, oh, they're like their contracts, unless like they have terminated their contract. That would be different. But then that's going down the, okay, normally they don't terminate without a specific cause when it's sporadic. Mm-hmm. They normally give a cause as to why someone is terminated. The contract is terminated. When their contract expires, no more good luck and future endeavors. It's silent.
It's just quiet.
You don't hear about it for like 2 to 3 months, and then the person is like changed their social media name, whatever at that time. Mm-hmm. So this is why I think it's work, because they took down all the merch. I think like it is an actual like rebranding, because like at WrestleMania, John Cena had his championship shirt. Mm-hmm. His championship shirt before it was an NFT, and like as soon as like he lost, took it out of the shop and made it an NFT. So like this is why I believe it's a work. It's just rebranding. All right, make women's tag team wrestling matters.
It could be. WWE got a long way to go for that tag, like the women's tag team. Like that's got to be something.
You have. I think both of them are what, 2.5, 3 hours now. Like unless they like, this is the reason why another controversy creates cash. Another reason why Roman should not have 2 championships is because now he can't lose one or the other.
I'm fine with it. The double, I'm perfectly fine with it.
But it does not allow other wrestlers to get a chance at either of the belts. It's now for both belts or the belts. If it becomes the actual one belt, that will clog up both areas, unless the writers actually learn something in the last like 15 years and actually make one show a developmental story and allow the other to just like push that storyline up.
I don't think so. Like, I think if Roman had with both belts, if they unify, if they let's say they go ahead and they unify and he ends up just carrying around one belt, like just like you said, if you can establish stories with just a single belt with all these champions. Like, I miss the days of having, build up where we have number one contenders matches, where we have fatal 4-ways and these specialized matches to then get the person into being the champion. because then you still have these other stories within the pocket that you could build and develop off of. Whether the group of bats is still going to try to go for the main championship brand, or they end up going to like the Intercontinental and United States Championship, because those two belts are treated like I don't know which one. I don't want to say like I guess some movies like the stepchild, like that doesn't get the attention that it needs or whatever for it. When certain individuals have those belts, they demand the presence for them. And like a lot of people, like for me, I love The Miz. I think The Miz is a perfect heel in every aspect of it. When he has the Intercontinental Championship, he makes everything work around him. I think if Roman having both belts, if they can formulate these storylines where they can have the number one contenders matches once again, that's going to build up to the people that'll lead in to have those championship opportunities, I think it could work. Because then you don't necessarily have, like, don't get me wrong, you have these two main belts on the show, but one of them was always treated as like the undercard. Like let's be real here. The WWE Championship is supposed to be the main belt. It's supposed to be the main belt, but slowly it's reverted to the Universal Championship as being the main title. But like you're about to say, it's to the World Heavyweight Championship has been reduced to now. So I don't know if I like how they necessarily did that, and if they're going to somehow, when they merge, they'll truly merge them back, and then we just have one championship, and it will be treated as the WWE, like how to say, WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion or whatever it is for it. Like, I'm perfectly fine, like, because it looks like we're going back to the brand split's going to be done. We're going to have stars showing up on both shows for it. I know that entails a lot more work for certain stars. Obviously, the Bloodline is going to be working a lot more. We're going to see them constantly on more shows. I am perfectly fine with them having that type of show again for it, as long as you can build properly around having it. I know a lot of people just hope that Roman will lose one belt and then he'll just stick to it. Like, if he loses one, it's going to be the WWE Championship.
They haven't done a single, like, when someone's become a Universal Champion, very rarely do they break apart the Universal Champion. Mm-hmm. Like between the two belts. Normally, the belts become one that has its run, and then a rebranding happens, and the belt has been they split it. This go around, the only way I see this Universal is if, like, I believe their deal with Fox is done for SmackDown, so this will be a perfect time to get rid of both shows, rebrand both shows as one show.
They're not gonna do that. They're not.
I mean, but if they like, the reason why I say that is because they unify the main championship. They'll unify the tag team belts, and there will only be. You're just saying the belts, but not the actual shows being rebranded. Because Raw and Smack, like, those two names will never go away. Raw just sheerly off of being the flagship and has run now as the longest episodic show on television, and SmackDown will never go away because probably, if not one of the best WWE superstars that has ever graced that ring, The Rock, is attached to that in every single form. That is never going to go away. It will stay around. The only reason why I say that is, like you mentioned, is like having actual storylines, giving that time to like flesh out. I feel like being under, I'm not saying a different brand name, I'm just saying that will give them the space to do just that. But Roman is seen as a fighting champion, and you never want to overwork your talent. And as case shown, Finn Balor, when he first won, overworked. He did his best run when he first got his championship, messed up, got injured. And Roman has been injured before.
Oh no, definitely.
He's not like Jimmy, who was before he was injured, Iron Man. So that, go ahead.
Oh no, but like how I would work it, and I think the good example of how it works is New Japan Pro Wrestling, because not every single show that they do involves the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So there are times where you don't see the major champion because they end up focusing on their United States Championship, in the past, their Intercontinental Championship, because they merged it. But this is how you can focus on your other stars. So give, like, say Roman. Let's say he comes and defends his championship and then shows up on a night. Let's give him a couple of weeks off, and let's build this story around our Intercontinental United States Championship, because you can have that batch of superstars that can work it and work it well. And I think New Japan does a very good job of doing that. And then also, like, say for example, their Super Juniors, how for like a solid month, the only shows that we are going to focus on are the Super Juniors in New Japan. Throughout the whole entire thing, we may sprinkle in like a Hiroshi Tanahashi or a Naito Tetsuya in here to kind of break things up in here. But at the same time, they're having that time off. They can recuperate, have time with the family, and then come back and then just be all in on there for it. But I feel like WWE, of course, they also do their live shows. They do everything. They want to have their big people in place at all times. And just like you said, it works them hard. It works them extra, especially now if we merge the shows back together. They are going to be working much harder. But I think you have to know how to leverage those other stars. You have these mid-card titles that you can use, and you have substantial stars that can perform and be on it. Like, take an AJ Styles. I don't care which belt you put on AJ. AJ can work it. So let's give him a U.S. Championship run again. Let's give him an Intercontinental Championship run. You can run him for a little while. Let Roman take a little of that time off. Let the Bloodline take a little of that time off. And then at some point we shift gears and come back to it. And those become your main events for like a few months. The Intercontinental Championship main event, the United States Championship main event. You treat these titles like they are true championships, and not just, oh, you're the U.S. champion. Yeah, defend your title every week. Issue an open challenge.
That's where I believe, like, in retrospect to the other promotions, WWE falls short on their secondary titles because they don't view them I think they view them lower than secondary titles. They changed the image of them, which I don't have a problem with, but if you're going to change the image, then you need to back up the prestige of said title. And I believe The Miz, when he had his little thing with Cody in the ring, he was like, I'm coming after the belt. The belt is what you wear on your waist. These are titles. These are championships. Which is, like, we all knew what he meant. But I like that mentality is like, it's a championship. It's something, it's a prestigious memento of your hard work that has paid off. And I feel as though WWE, they know that, but the way it is scripted and written isn't being conveyed properly in these last couple of years for these two specific titles. Now, if they have to do like back in the Attitude Era, bring back like a TV European Championship, instead of it merging, well, being is actually the 24/7 championship. It's literally the European and Hardcore title in one belt. I believe that would open up so much space. We won't have to have all this 24/7 gimmick if they added like a European title, because like you have all those people chasing after the 24. That gives them something. Instead of it just being, okay, you have these two mid-card championships, which they get some screen time, but it's not the screen time they deserve. And that allows people to develop. All right, you can have this feud going. Okay, you can build this person up, going after this one. All right, this person can rest. You can start interchanging people a lot more. Yes, and it's not as long as a run as what Roman has, but it allows people to rest and to recuperate. They did it with Edge, they did it with John Cena, they did it with Randy, Triple H, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels. The list goes on. Like, all these people overworked, oversaturated in their talent pool. Held the belt not as long as Roman, or as many times as John Cena, but John Cena, all right, wins the championship. A lot of that, I believe, was people getting buried or injuries happening, but the fact that Randy and John both have one of the longest, not the most, but one of, in our current generation, the most championships between the two. Like, them two alone, if they ever became a tag team, they could literally say we have won the championship more times than anybody in WWE history.
Facts. Facts there. So yeah, I think there's definitely there's opportunities that they have as far as the way they treat these belts. Like, I want to see the depth that the roster is. Like, even though they've released tons of superstars, their roster is still deep, but everyone just doesn't get the shine that they should. And I think if we focused on how we can make these mid-card titles stand out once again, it's going to be a thing. I just want to see if Naomi goes to the Bloodline, which I think the cards are right, it can work. And then whether it's Sasha being mad because Naomi made this decision and now they become a feud or whatnot, I'm cool with that. But I'm eager to see what they do, though.
It's definitely going to be interesting because there's a lot of people in the Samoan line that are related that we probably don't know about. That's probably
facts.
That's probably been out in other promotions that could come in, and this could be like, as WWE, as Vince has said, he has an open door policy that will allow them to, like, hey, like, we got Cuz over here in New Japan winning the championship while we out here handling business. We don't, like, you know, there are a lot of avenues. Like, I mean, it's what's best for business, and sometimes being closed off is best for business. But in this day and age where, like, I don't have to watch your show, but I watch your show, so I would advise, like, okay, bringing in all, like, being open to all the talent that's available versus just like, okay, you have your cream of the crop, but then did you see the news that Stephanie stepped down?
That one I'm not. So I know Stephanie got her hands in other buckets, but from what I've heard, like, when there was somebody else that was on, like, the board that also either stepped down or they consolidated roles, and she took on more responsibilities. Apparently, I don't think that she was appealing to the investors the way that they wanted to, and they think that's possibly part of the reason she stepped down. I think there's numerous things that could be, like, obviously Triple H just looked good the last time we saw him, but we know he's having his health scares or whatnot. Or she did say she was stepping away for family or whatnot. So it could truly be something along the lines of that. Just recently, she was announced to be on the board of FaZe Clan. So for gamers out there, if you're wide, you know, FaZe Clan does amazing work in the gaming side, professional teams, streaming, all that. She's now on their board when they went public, which was, to me, it's like, you know, I was like, oh,
that's weird, but okay.
I was like, okay, this is a different avenue, but clearly, you know, you want to put your eggs in more than one basket, which I think she was doing. But there could be a thing where maybe she is deciding to step away and pursue other things. Maybe if it goes well, Stephanie doesn't come back to her role or whatnot ever. But yeah, so I'm not. That was just random. That was a random thing to happen. There was no precursor or anything to that happening. So I hope she says family. I hope all is well. Like I never wish ill will on anybody, anything like that. But I'm eager to see where that switches things up to. But
it is what it is at the end of the day.
Dig it. I think we had a good conversation. Some controversies that people have been talking about. Some other ones are still out there. But what's some controversies right now that you guys are peeping out on the social medias? Like I know the Sasha Naomi thing is a big one that's going down right now. Let us know. Talk on here feed. We're gonna talk back and forth with you on it. Also let us know what you want to hear from next. There's tons of wrestling stuff that's going on right now. What's that next conversation you want to hear from us? We're gonna hit up episode 2, so you guys are going to enjoy this. Episode 3, of course, will be in the works right after this. Make sure you guys are following us. Loading Snacks is the easiest way to do it. We have our wrestling chat. We're in there every single day. We're in there for pay-per-views. By the time you guys see this, Double or Nothing would have gone down from AEW. Me and Marcus did our prediction show for that. One of us is going to add, we have some splits. And we said whoever wins, the other person's got to buy them the next AEW pay-per-view. So we'll see how that.
We don't do premium live events anymore.
It's pay-per-views. So we'll see how that goes. You guys stay tuned. This wraps up episode 2 of The Finisher. Stay tuned for episode 3. But until then, Marcus, it's your boy Jokes.
You're finished.
Loading Snacks. Ow, ow.